I think a time in my life where I made plenty of mistakes was in my 20s, like my entire 20s, from when I was 21 till about 27, 28.
I wasn't so into like drugs, or I didn't really get into a whole lot of bad things growing up for the most part. But there was one big mistake that I would do, and I had done for years and years and years.
I've been the yearbook advisor for, I think this is my 4th year, and it's been challenging. But this year, it was brought to my attention that I had deeply offended the majority of my yearbook staff.
That was that I was an imposter.
I didn't think I was threatening them. I was just kind of telling them that, like, if you don't get your work done, I have to fail you. But it came across as a threat.
And I was just basically in all the wrong relationships, like dating guys that didn't have the same values as me, didn't believe in the same God. I
grew up quite different from a lot of classmates, and I've been to a lot of different schools. I was the Hawai'i kid who talked really well.
And I'd heard that like nobody wanted to be on the yearbook anymore, and we wouldn't have any staff. And for that point in time, I'm like, really, I don't want to be on the yearbook either. I never really wanted it, but it was a need, and it's been one of the real trying things as I've been teaching, because I have a heavy load, and then yearbook just added to it.
Because I came from a Christian family and my dad was a pastor, but they weren't really strict, so they kind of didn't really put that much tabs on me, so they just let me go do what I wanted. But of course, they didn't agree to my choices, but I still, rebelled and just, did whatever I wanted to because it made me feel happy at the time.
I was kind of looked down upon and made fun of a lot, and probably around the time that my parents split when I was 9, I really was just looking for identity. I started just to try and do what I could to fit in. I tried to be something that I wasn't.
I think it was during solemn assembly time though, so thankfully we had a bunch of time to pray. And as I was at the altar praying, God spoke to me so clearly and gave me a really clear picture of what exactly I had done and what I needed to do to fix it.
It got to a point where I started telling people lies just to, within a conversation of a story, just to kind of fit in with that flow and then fit in with them, but it never really worked. But I started telling more lies, and things went on, years went on. I started changing kind of who I was, personality. I used to be Goth Brian at one point, all black and all emo. Don't bother me, just leave me alone.
And so doing all of that, it was just really hard to hear that how I had really hurt these students without even realizing it, and that I guess they were so afraid of me that they couldn't even tell me, that it had to go through parents who were willing enough to step up and speak to administration, which I'm very thankful they did, but it was hard at the same time. So God showed me that it was really a statement of my heart, that like Jesus said, if this cup can pass from me, I said, if yearbook can pass from me, please give it to someone else. I didn't want it, and God showed me because of that I had a bad attitude, and that bad attitude came across through some of the other things, but I didn't realize it was an underlying bad attitude.
And I had a God moment where God came to me pretty much face to face. Not that his presence was here right in front of me, but when I say face to face, it was a moment that was, hey, look at this. This is who you are. I don't want to live a lie anymore. I don't want this to be phony or fake. I want to be able to know who I am in a crowd or in a conversation, to be able to move forward, to be able to genuinely laugh at things or genuinely cry at things, to not be such a hollow shell with no identity.
Basically, when I first was in the relationship, I would feel really happy because I would feel really accepted. Even though I come from a really good family background, which is kind of ironic because my parents would like show me tons of love, but I still wanted to find it some other place, you know, somewhere else. Every time someone would break up with me, I would feel heartbroken. And then instead of turning to my parents or turning to friends, I would go and jump into another relationship because that was my fulfillment. I just felt wanted, you know, like, oh, this guy finds me attractive again.
First, he changed my attitude to have peace that I'm exactly where he wants me. And he's given me these things because he thinks I can handle them. But just with what we've been learning about grace, that through God's grace, he's enabled me to do all that he's asked me to do.
I think God came through by always making the guys break up with me. Because if they did not, then I would have just gone down that path, dating all the wrong person. So I just decided to get on a plane and come to Hawaii.
It was times where I'd look at some of the horrible things that I'd done and the lies that I told people, the hurt that I'd caused. And you accept it, you try and resolve what you can, and then you move on.
But then it's like, then the question goes, okay, how do we fix this? And my idea was throw them a party, buy them pizza, you know, try to feed them. But as I prayed, I just really felt God tell me to wash their feet. And I was like, that's just weird. And I thought, they're gonna think that's weird. And, you know, and I just remember, but he kind of showed me exactly how I could plan it out so I could be able to do it in the day when I had them for class, which was the next day.
Yeah, I guess he just changed my perspective on a lot of things. I just needed to get out of my country, of like being around all the wrong company and, you know, just being around, just going around the same circles, you know. And then in Hawaii, I met Gavin, this guy, you know, in church, and I got married.
It's still a work in progress. Still, you know, still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. But God's been there the whole time. He's been pointing me in the right directions and taking me through this journey to learn, you know, who I am and who I am.
That's what Jesus had me do, is wash their feet. And now, you know, it seems like everything's better. I have students who want to come back to yearbook, and it's like God's plans are better.